And welcome to another Missile from the Masses. This is the Chaplain System Motor Pod, recording right before Joefest starting Friday. This would be June 26th. And we're here with After Action Report, Josh Eggebine and Greg Augustin. And, one of the things we do here on the Chaplain System Motor Pod is talk about After Action Report and what they've got going on, what they've got coming up, and what they've been doing. And After Action Report is at Joefest. So, Josh, why don't you start off and tell us about After Action Report at Joefest, what you bring in, what you got going on.
Well, our tradition has been to have a Kickstarter running here as we set up with a booth. It's our 7th year in a row now. So thank you to Ed and Joefest. They have been a key part of the success of our books and everything. So to promote the current Kickstarter, it's Greg Augustin's Volume 3, Command Files Cobra. And so it's all the Cobra characters. And recently he just went from 200 to now it's almost over 300 characters in one book. Now, I'll let him describe it a little bit more, but it also means we're increasing the page count. So all of the previous command files were 180 pages. This one's probably going to be about 190 pages of Cobra, a bunch of bad guys. Jeez, they're making our books bigger. So anyway, that's the big thing that we're promoting at the convention. And just recently, we've had our newest book, which Gary was a huge part of. And you want to pitch that a little bit?
Yep. So available at Joefest and at After Action Report Net, if you can't make it to Joefest, is the Trivia and Activity book. So it's over 300 pages of over probably 400 and change comic books, asking questions about every issue with answers that were vetted by myself and Josh and everybody else that was part of the team in making this book. It's a great way to fill your gaps in continuity or just test your memory and or have fun with friends.
And now you really know with that book.
Is that half the battle?
Or all the battle?
Or is it all the battle? I think it may be all the battle.
Yeah, red and blue lasers not included. But we've got Greg here really to talk about Command Files 3, currently available on Kickstarter. So if you're watching this and you can't get down to Joefest and you haven't heard about it, well, Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what Josh started off with?
Yeah, let me step back a little bit. So Command Files, if you don't know already, is a set of books. Basically, if you remember the old Order of Battle from Marvel, it basically published the file cards that were out by then. My Command Files project was actually taking that, continuing as what if Order of Battle continued since then. So the first 2 volumes of Command Files are actually the Joe team, about 110, 130 Joes each of file cards straight from the toys. I want to say it's very faithfully transposed, but in addition to that, there's mentions of different appearances of a certain character in media, like different continuity of comics, cartoons, and even the movies on there. So what's interesting what I did with the G.I. Joe team, I didn't actually go encyclopedic, ABC alphabetical. I actually grouped them into certain teams. So you'll have the very specific Tiger Force and Night Force, but also have a Mountain team and Arctic team. So I pretty laid out and actually defined the G.I. Joe command structure in that way. The first volume, here's the Duke. First volume is called A Teams. So basically it's all the heavy hitters, operators, the kind of single card figures that you play with as a kid. The second book is called Support Elements, which is all the vehicles and pilots, and even the other factions like October Guard and our Shiggy Clan in there as well. So very deep dive into G.I. Joe lore. Very toy-based, just a very fundamental introduction of the characters, but again, spins out into the different continuities. We go into Devil's Due. We talk about the IDW versions, the Hasbro verse. It even snuck in Energon, which was pretty brand new when we first published this book. We even got Channing Tatum in there from the Paramount movies. So that's 2 Joe books already, about 180 pages each of file card goodness. And it was a project that was about a decade old for me. So just to round it out now, people are asking for the Cobra book. So just like Order of Battle, Marvel, we have the Cobra version. So been toiling at it, and that's what the Kickstarter is right now. We started up in late May. The Kickstarter is already funded. Thanks everybody, all the funder backers that throwing in like record time too, right?
Yes,
like
we funded in 12 hours.
12 hours, yeah.
Wow.
So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
All the excitement around the first 2 books rolled into the Cobra. So I have a couple of sample pages here if the camera can pick it up. You'll notice that the design is more Cobra now. I've kind of deviated from. I got to flip. I deviated from the Manila style
Casey,
folders.
tell us when to stop. So
Does
just
that
so
work?
everybody knows, Casey is with us.
Lift up a little bit.
Is with us
It
here
is
on the
true.
Chaplain System Motor Pod. He's manning the camera. So Casey, say hi to everybody that's missing you on the Chaplain System. All right. So
And we're here in a hotel room, so all we had to do is print them out, and we're like, okay. And of course, this book is not made yet, so we don't actually have a physical book to show. But
So these are just prototype layouts, but the direction is different color theme versus what we did for GI Joe. But I also took like I did the command structure for GI Joe. I took a crack at actually doing a little bit of organizational structure, what Cobra would look like as a terrorist
So
organization.
I have a question
So,
for you,
yeah.
Greg.
Good.
So was that a challenge for you with all the backstabbing that goes on in Cobra?
Oh, I actually, I do. So, little behind the scenes look with Josh's kind of inspiration. I'm actually writing it up as a Chuckles undercover intel report to Hawk, and it will have that type of commentary in terms of how the Crimson Twins interact with the inner. I'm calling the inner circle. What Major Blood's relationship is with the Headman, and how Mars Industries, Iron Grenadiers, it's pretty laid out and structured. It took me hours and hours to figure it out, but I did.
I think Destro's side is probably really well regulated and organized, but I don't think Cobra Commander's other support staff is nearly as organized.
Right. And I have a clever way to describe what Serpentor is in that whole thing. Mindbender, how that was, and there's a big Josh's project in there is a big history of the brainwave scanner, which is pretty cool. And that's pretty current in a current storyline that Hama's doing, and it's pretty revisited. Like the current storyline revisits. We're at number 329.
Yeah.
And it's going all the way back to the 10. Issue 10, right?
Issue 10 with Dawn having snake eyes in her head and some Easter egg stuff. I don't know. I don't know where they're going yet, but like that's kind of the setup. So it's very current, you know what I mean? So, and of course, the brainwave scanner has been with GI Joe since the very beginning, pretty much, and he's gone back to that well, and like something like 40 characters have been thrown in there. So when we were like, what articles shall we put in there? Because like for the previous books, we did one on the file cards, and then we did one on the pit. There's like history of the pit, and then this one's history of the brainwave scanner.
Yeah. And so the scope of this too, I'm just gonna throw out names in there to show how maybe thorough I'm trying to get at. I'm talking about the Plague in there. I'm talking about V Troops. I'm even throwing in the recent Synapse in there that was just announced classified. So I'm talking. It's about, as Josh is saying, 300 or so characters north of that. I'm not even counting variations like Python Patrol.
Right.
Like these are just pure like standalone characters that I have in there. Happy to put it together. And as Josh said, I'm breaking the 180 page rule on this. It's getting to be 200, Josh. Let's start trimming, but I'm committed to
get them all,
getting them all in there. Because
and you know, I mean, like that's the thing with Cobra is that there's maybe 50 characters that matter with a name, and then the other 250 are just soldiers, vehicle drivers, Vipers that, they have file cards and they're interesting. And that's kind of the basis of the book, is that if they have a file card, they go into the book. But, there's nothing to talk about some of them, like Air Viper. That's like my favorite joke to joke about. It's like, there's, Like he doesn't have anything. There's nothing. He doesn't appear anywhere. You know what I mean? Hardly or whatever. So, that the entries will be smaller because like for volume 1 and volume 2, they're pretty much 100% like each Joe each page. There's a few doubles, but there'll be some triples and quadruples at some point in the Cobra, right?
Yeah. Well, I haven't searched everything, but I have a creative way to handle that. I'm even delving into
secrets revealed.
You're a spoiler. Or one of the other projects I'm working on is actually defining the career path of the Cobra Trooper. How does he get all the way up to Cobra Officer? How he becomes an eel. And you've read this through the file cards. So an eel, they become snow serpents or hydro vipers or become paravipers. I kind of detail that too in there. So trying to really, because when I did the G.I. Joe books, it was trying to put a real world application of special forces for G.I. Joe. So I kind of wanted to do that interplay with Cobra. So for those of you at Joefest, I have the list of all the characters, the 300 or so characters in there, and I'm not challenging, but I wanted to see if I was comprehensive enough. So if you're at Joefest, come by, name a character off the top of your head from the cartoons, from any continuity, Devil's Due, IDW, see if I got it in there. I have everything, and this is very, very obscure. I have Commandant McCann in there. And I'm not. If you know what it is, come by the
booth and get filled in.
Yeah.
Technically, our booth number is 207, but basically we're back against the back wall, kind of in the middle. So we're not in the center of the convention. We're actually on the wall.
Yep. So when you walk into the convention, after you pass the Chaplain Sisters Motorpod booth, after you pass Podcast from the Pits booth, and you walk in, you just keep walking all the way to the back wall to find Josh, to find Greg. You'll find me there too at certain times, Saturday and Sunday. I'll be hanging out with these guys too at the booth because I help out AR too.
You're a part of the After Action Report team now.
Yep. So I'll be here. That's basically my job, is to be here. My job is to bring these guys, try to get some, things to people that can't be here at Joefest, or maybe if you're watching this, that's why we're recording this, is we didn't do this as a live stream. That was a conscious decision because I want to make sure that this is easy to find in the YouTube algorithm, and because this will be a recording, this will be released very shortly after Casey hits end recording. I'm going to upload it. So this way, in case you did miss this for whatever reason at Joefest, you can come back, you can watch this, and then maybe educate yourself. So hopefully this was entertaining enough that that maybe you want to look at the Kickstarter and decide if you want to back it or not. But speaking of Command Files 3, speaking of Kickstarter, speaking of After Action Report still has more things to happen after Command Files 3. And Josh, do you want to take it away on that one?
So this is kind of like the first public announcement. I mean, we've publicized what our plans are for 2027 into 2028. Command Files 3 will probably be finished at the end of the year and arrive in the spring 2027. So that's, you get your Cobra book. Then the very next book was going to be, and we have this very great high school, guys, spread your heads around. Look at this perfectly high school version of our future. We're here at Joefest, so we had to make it up. But basically, we have 3 books coming. I'll go through this real quick. So you can put that first slide up there. And again, I got multiple people working. I'm kind of the center, and there's all kinds of different people. I think it's just one. I got about 6 different people helping me out with the different books, kind of like Greg did the Command Files, and Gary helped out with trivia. But Gary, I was saving this for this podcast, is that you're going to be editing all these books.
Yay!
Although I think we missed it. Yeah, all right.
Yay! I was wondering why I haven't seen any copy from Greg yet.
So his little question at Joefest last year was like, well, if you ever want to help with editing, so now he's
Yeah, that was my mistake. I mean, yeah, so happy to be here.
So okay, no, not yet. So the first book is going to be The Mask. So it's called History of Mask. Now, if you're a comic fan, you realize that the Mask comic just arrived like 2 weeks ago. It's coming back, and who knows what they're going to do with it at Skybound. But so I was pitched the idea from a collector who has it, who like didn't have the book skill ability to make it, but has all the toys and the knowledge from the Kenner side, and I have all the comics from the Hasbro side. So we're making a history of Mask, and of course, there's like about a 30-year period of silence from the end of the Kenner run to the Mask. So you can. So what we've done is we've done our pages here, and they're on green. So the idea will be it'll show Mask, it'll show the character of the Mask, and then the vehicle description, and then that will be on the character side, and then we will have pages for the toys, because After Action Report never really dived into toys before, except for the Hasbro comic packs. So we're doing that. So, and of course, Mask is that interesting property where they blended everything. They were like Transformers and G.I. Joe and everything. You know what I mean? It's a really cool toy line. It didn't last very long, but it's very popular. And then, of course, it has a lot of the next, what he's going to show is the it's going to have a whole animation section. So again, for After Action Report, we're diving into toys and animation for Mask, which maybe will end up in a G.I. Joe cartoon animation book at some point in the future. But it's our test run. So that's the next book. And then the book after that, the Mask book will come in 2027 at some point, the Kickstarter. The next book then, yes, is that one, is our international guidebook from Europe. So this is like a personal, like what I love to collect, right? And literally 2 or 3 days ago, I got in the mail, and they're at the table if you want to come see them. I have Skybound books from Italy and Spain, and I previously had France. I got myself. So literally, like, it's a very relevant thing, just kind of like Mask is now relevant again. You know, the international G.I. Joe books in other languages is very relevant. So that's a book that's been in the works for a long time, but I'm finally going to get myself to it. So, and then the next one after that is the history of the G.I. Joe Collectors Club and Transform. Sorry, I got the title wrong. It's a Collectors Club G.I. Joe Transformers. So it's going to follow all of the different comics and things like that. And I stapled on the wall. So it's going to cover conventions, toys, comics for the Collectors Club from basically around 94 to 2018. Brian Savage is going to be participating in that. And and these are page examples that cover the comics. We can't really see them on here, but back here, if you guys can split, I don't know. Won't be able. This is going to be what the toy side looks like, and then there'll be a whole bunch of information on the conventions. So that book will be designed per year. So in 2003, there was a Joe Con and a Transformers Con. We'll talk about both those, talk about the toys from both those. So it's a whole book on the Collectors Club. So that's that kind of wraps up our future. And then, again, we're making that announcement now with those. And, because we kind of have tapped out on the comic side. And I know people want me to do a IDW continuity one, but that's 3 books and it's hard. But I did.
I would love that.
Yeah.
So there you go. And everybody else, I would love that.
Yeah.
I did tap into that a little bit with we have a book called the G.I. Joe Transformers Checklist. And so it's just lists of all the continuity, the IDW continuity, all the other ones too. But so you can get that as a list, but it doesn't break down like the covers and there's no stories. So we do cover that a little bit in our comic book history, but mostly the big thing right now is finishing Command Files 3. And, it's a different book than the other ones. And, we're kind of making it in a little bit different way. And Greg's, as he already explained, is thinking a lot in different ways. And so it'll be presented in a different way, which, Might take longer, might not. But the goal for Command Files 3 is to be done by January. Maybe. Right?
Driving toward that.
We're driving towards it. But so that's kind of the after action report future plans. So thank you guys for allowing us to pitch it here first.
Yeah,
so
no problem. Absolutely.
everybody can know what we got going on.
So right now, let's lead off at Joefest. So what kind of things can they find at your booth?
Oh, all of our previous books, which are Comic Guides 1, 2, and 3, which is 82 to 2022, the History of Number 21, the G.I. Joe Transformers checklist book, and then, of course, Command Files Volume 1 and Volume 2, and, yes, our trivia book. So the trivia book is a fun one. It's different sized, and it's only $20. So you can come get that, and it's already been proven to be a very good, some people have played it with family and friends, and we actually used it at a trivia event in the Dallas convention. So it turns out to be pretty fun and ends up sparking interesting conversations. But it's also very
About whether the book is wrong?
No, we didn't find any. Although somebody questioned me on this is the first maybe typo. So in the questions for number 21, we put how does Scarlet escape? Well, she actually escapes twice. Once she uses a hairpin to unlock, and then she grabs the claw and flies away in the claw. So I think on that page, it's a little bit vague on the two different questions.
Yeah, it's a little bit vague, but the questions do work in the timeline of the story.
Yeah, in the timeline of the story.
Context.
But if you take them out of the context of the story, it's like, which escape did she make? So I got caught on that one. And I was like, oh, all right. Well,
Technically, she didn't escape until she got away, which
Right.
would have been on the claw.
yes, you're right.
So she was in the process of escaping.
Process.
So all right, so maybe we'll insert that. word.
You need to send Casey a no prize.
Okay.
Yay.
Yes. No prize. All right. The process of escaping.
All right. So, and then for anybody watching this video that unfortunately didn't make it to Joefest or maybe even didn't make it to the table, AAR, can you tell them where else they can find you?
The only place to get the books is afteractionreport.net. And of course, that's just a website. We have a lot of different things on there, and we're trying to build out this archive. Greg's got these really cool infographics that he's made that appear around, and so that's what's there. And then, of course, join our Facebook group, which we got about 1,000 followers now. So I guess that's substantial. Post there pretty regularly with all the different activities we have. So, Greg, you got any Command Files Cobra things?
Any final last wise words?
No, just going back to for promoting handles and stuff like that. So this Command Files project was based off my Instagram as a 10-year project, and I'm glad that I can deliver all the followers that wanted that book. My Instagram is G_unit2472. If you want to check it out, go actually in the Wayback Machine to see the project flourish over the past decade. It's there.
Cool. All right. So that concludes this. With all that said and done, one final missile from the masses. We're all going to Joefest.
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 We're going to spend
Well,
4 days talking about G.I. Joe. We're going to forget everything else in the world. I don't care what's going on. All I want to do is talk about G.I. Joe.
All right. Be decent to one another. Take care.
Thank you, Casey. All right. We are good. I think that's good, right?
I forgot to hit record.